Here's the mystery. The Chinese government allowed 5 million residents to flee the city of Wuhan before they locked it down in January. Most of these people presumably went on to other places within China. And yet, according to the Chinese government, and by the way, as well as all available evidence we now have in the West, there were no other major outbreaks in China. Not in Shanghai, not in Chengdu, not in Beijing. Meanwhile, other cities all over Europe and the United States have been brought to their knees by the virus. How could this be? It doesn't seem to make any sense at all. For some reason, almost nobody in the American media has even asked about it. That's strange. At this point, we have no real explanation for why the coronavirus spread throughout the West, but not throughout China. We should find that out.
You know, I don't understand how how people weren't allowed into the rest of China, but they were allowed into the rest of the world. That's a hard question for them to answer.
During January, President Xi Jinping was well aware of how deadly the situation was. Yet he made a decision that would ultimately condemn the world. He allowed 5 million people to leave the epicentre of the virus, to leave Wuhan without being screened for COVID-19, before he decided to impose a lockdown.
By the time they finally do that, we have a catastrophe on our hands.
Tonight, more countries joining the United States in a temporary ban on foreigners who travel to China as the coronavirus continues to spread. Australia, Japan and Vietnam expanding travel restrictions as the death toll rises to nearly 260 as airlines close down routes and countries seal borders.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, on Monday confirmed that Chinese travelers originating in the People's Republic, even those connecting through a third country, would be denied entry to the U.S.
China has reacted angrily to the Australian government's decision to extend a travel ban for at least a week after a sharp rise in the number of reported coronavirus cases.
When the president announced travel restrictions on China in late January, Tedros said that would, quote, have the effect of increasing fear and stigma with little public health benefit, end quote.
The head of the WHO echoed the sentiments.
There is no reason for measures that unnecessarily interfere with international travel and trade.
At an executive meeting of the World Health Organization in Geneva, China condemned what it said were excessive restrictions imposed by a number of countries, including visa rejections.
The World Health Organization's temporary recommendations do not recommend any travel and trade restrictions. We are all in this together. It concerns every country and everyone in this world.
At this point, we have no real explanation for why the coronavirus spread throughout the West, but not throughout China.
The Chinese embassy released a statement overnight. It was pretty unequivocal.
Fair to say they're not happy, Laura. That statement says that we express our deep regret and dissatisfaction over the Australian government's announcement on the extension of travel restrictions over foreign nationals from the Chinese mainland. We urge the Australian side to assess objectively and rationally the prevention and control measures taken by the Chinese side and the actual risk faced by the Australian side.
Where were the warning signs? Who was supposed to blow the whistle? The president has asked this question, and I think he's right. The president's answer is the World Health Organization should have been blowing the whistle.
Chinese officials had evidence of clusters suggesting human-to-human transmission as early as January 14th, according to a new Associated Press report based on leaked internal documents.
I don't know enough to know if that's right or wrong, but I know the question is right.
Wuhan health officials continued to downplay the danger of how quickly the virus could spread. The contagion of the novel coronavirus is not high. The risk of sustained human-to-human transmission is low.
The Chinese government is to be congratulated for the extraordinary measures it has taken to contain the outbreak.
Respect the World Health Organization's professional recommendations and lift the restrictions as early as possible.
China is actually setting a new standard for outbreak response.
Just 2 weeks ago, the head of emergency at Wuhan Central Hospital, Dr. Ai Fen, also went public, saying authorities had stopped her and her colleagues from warning the world. She has now disappeared.
Gone missing for reporting on the Wuhan virus.
If it weren't for China's efforts, the number of cases outside China would have been very much higher.
At this point, we have no real explanation for why the coronavirus spread throughout the West, but not throughout China.
This is something that could have been contained at the original location. Certainly, it could have been stopped. It came out of China, and it could have been stopped, and I wish they stopped it, and so does the whole world wish they stopped.